G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some cool sailors, but of course I have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. So first off, joining us at 2:30 in the morning for him, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
EP, how are you, Snoozer?
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say coming to you from sunny San Francisco, but there's no sun at 2:30 in the morning, I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah, but there's plenty of nightlife, mate.
Well, as I said, you've cut my night short. I had to come in from the Rainbow City, as Bicey keeps alluding to. So she's got some action out there, I can tell you.
Yeah. All right, let's bring in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice, desperate to jump in on that comment.
Oh, yeah, I've almost lost it a bit, but there was plenty of sun where you've just come from, my friend. We don't have to worry about that. Hey, happy anniversary, lads. 163 episodes. June the 18th, 3 years ago, was our first ep. Believe it or not.
Well done us.
Yep. And since then, we've recorded 332 hours, 17 minutes worth.
Right.
So,
absolute garbage.
that's recorded, not played.
Yeah.
Not uploaded.
Oh, dear. The time.
June the 18th.
Wow.
As you're listening to this, that was only a couple of days ago. And I have brought you guys a 3-year anniversary present. I hope yours is, you guys got me something. And being 3 years, it's leather. So, I've got you a wallet for all the money we've made out of this ship fight. And you may or may not receive it.
Well, apparently BP's bought some leather clothing attire in San Francisco.
I got you some chaps.
I was going to say, I hope you knew what colour chaps I got, because I don't want to have mixed match chaps with wallets. You know, there's nothing worse than that when you go into the city.
Beauty.
Cool.
No, love it. Loving it, boys. Highlight of the week.
Yep. Indeed.
High fives all round.
All right, well done, boys. Three great minds. Who'd have thought after 3 years we wouldn't run the world by now, with the combined intelligence of the three of us, we're almost worth one person.
Potentially. Or three Kiwis, whatever.
All right. We'll be singing Kiwi praises later on in the show, I have to admit. Right, well, obviously 3 years in, pulling tonight's guest in was a no-brainer. We wanted just to bring one of our closest mates on board, someone that we love hanging out with. Was on the show early on, a supporter from the start, joined us in episode 18. October 2019, is one of the premier world sailors, navigators, offshore sailors. We introduced him as the world's most handsome navigator in episode 18 all those years ago. Nothing's changed. Welcome to the show, Simon Fisher, SiFi. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on your third anniversary. Congratulations.
Well, we were saving something special, and it was just the right time, Sci-Fi.
I know it's good to be back on.
And
we had a couple of goes at the end of last year, but it was all a bit hectic.
You and I actually share another anniversary too, our birthday. So it's just a bit of a theme we're rolling on here.
Yeah.
But mate, you've been a busy boy. Let's we obviously want to do a bit of a catch up, but you're back in Spain as we speak, but up to the lead up to that, you did a little dart across the Atlantic.
Yeah. Just a couple of weeks ago, we did a transatlantic with 11th hour racing as part of our training for the ocean race. So it's it's only a bit more than 6 months away the race now. So it's it's good to get some ocean miles in, and it's been quite a journey getting the new boat up to speed and learning everything about that, getting our heads around the 60s, and obviously that boat launched last year, and we're sailing 11-1 as well, the other boat. So it's been a busy few months. But it's nice to sort of knuckle down on the new boat now and get it tested, get it reliable, and hopefully get it fast.
Yeah. Well, that was the reason we sort of thought we'd bring you on, is that, it is 6 months out from the ocean race now, just over 6 months. And there's so much happening in the Imoca world and the ocean race world. We thought you'll give us all the secrets. That's the deal, isn't it?
I can tell you what I know.
Righto, go on.
There's plenty going on there. That's incredible.
Well, let's get into it. So obviously, as you said, so you're part of the 11th hour team. Obviously, we're strong supporters of that team. You had the 2-boat program going. The second boat's gone now. I'm pretty certain that's across with which ended up Giot. Is it the Giot team or something?
Gaio Environment, with Benjamin Detroit. So he took the boat early this year, and he's currently somewhere off Iceland, I think.
So you had
got the pick out, neutralise, throw the pick over.
Poor bastards.
I'm not quite sure if it's neutralised or if they've finished it at the waypoint.
It finished it.
It'd be a shame if they didn't get a race in. I think they finished it in the end.
Yeah, right.
Waypoint. Yeah, great place to relax. Just anchored in a bay off Iceland. From a finish. We'll come back to that race though, but it's definitely finished. So it must have been, from the perspective of the team, if we can go straight into the race, having the 2 boats, different designers. Obviously, the new boat's a Guillaume design. Was there difference? When I look at the boats, they're quite different looking. Was there real noticeable differences in performance, or was one always a standout? That's what I really want to know.
No, it's been interesting. Like the first boat was the old Hugo Boss 6, which was a VPLP and a Guillaume design, so he was involved in that. And then obviously the new boat's been all Guillaume and his team. But there's definitely some similarities, but obviously there's some pretty big differences as well. We didn't actually get to sail the boats together as much as we'd like. Just it was so hectic last year that we're always sort of scrambling to get both boats on the water and training and all that sort of stuff. But we definitely learned a hell of a lot from the first boat with that went into the second boat. And one of the things that did make the old boat go so quick last year was the fact that we got some new foils in it that we put in, I think, May last year. With and that was a sort of culmination of everything we sort of learned up to that point. And then it'd be fair to say that the foils that are in the new boat are a development on that and a bit more extreme. So it's all been it's been good. All the foil designs have been headed in a big direction, and it's fair to say we've made some pretty massive strides with it. So it's been exciting.
Where do you think the biggest gains are in the foils? Like, what's the biggest changes? Because obviously it's still all new territory for everyone. I mean, you're putting a lot of time into that. It must lead to some big gains. Where's the biggest gains that you see so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's in just usability. It's pretty wild because there's so much freedom to do what you want. Your span, your angle, your curve. Where it comes out the boat, how big they are, how small they are. It's completely open playing field. They've actually, because things were getting bigger and bigger and crazier, that they've actually introduced some rules now. They have an area and a moment from centre line that they're sort of limited to 8 meters square. Ends up being 8 meters cubed, although it's not actually a volume. So that kind of limits how big you can go and how far from the centre line you get, because they're worried about the boats getting a bit too powerful. And there's also like a maximum span when the foils are retracted. So there are some limits, but within that box, there's still a million different things you could do. So it's still pretty open. But I think most of the games are finding something that's fast but relatively stable. I mean, we're still, unlike all the cut boats and the F50s and what have you, we don't have elevators, so we've got no real active trim control or pitch control. So we're always trying to find something that's sort of stable enough, and it's also hard to sort of trim the rake all the time. So we need to sort of set and forget the rake a little bit and have the boat be fast and sort of self-regulate a bit. So having a foil that's sort of reasonably stable, a bit self-regulating in terms of how it sort of comes in and out of the water and regulates the area has been pretty important. And then just creating a foil that's not stalling all the time. I guess some of the biggest gains we've made is going from a foil that we've needed tons of fences down to stop the ventilation because the tips were sticking out to a foil that needed no fences. And that was impressive. The jump we made there.
Yeah,
we went from
So
sticking
what
tons
do you
of fences and messing around with the angle and all of that to not needing them anymore. So
what do you reckon? Obviously, time on water, you can't beat that, but you would have had to rely on a lot of CFD work, which would have been, as important to get the hours on the computer. Were there kind of roads that you could go down that you hadn't necessarily envisaged in the seawater, but the CFD came out with some funky designs that you end up going down, or? Was it
Yeah,
quite?
no, we looked at
Yeah. Go
we
ahead.
kind of looked at lots of different stuff. And obviously has some pretty sort of strong ideas on how things should be. But he's always kind of pushing the boundaries and getting us to test stuff. And he does a lot of work, obviously, in his CFD stuff, and that's sort of quite well verified. And then we also have the simulator. We run the Gombox simulator, which is a radically sort of pared down version of what they use in the Cup. And actually, you might have seen it because I think a lot of the initial stuff for that came from the Super 60 project that obviously pretty close to you.
Yeah,
and that's actually been actually really useful. And it's quite funny because you run stuff on the simulator and you see the boat flying out the water with just the tip of the rudder in, ripping around at 30 knots, and you go, "Oh, that's never going to be possible. It's never going to be possible." And then you go sailing and you're doing exactly that. So there's actually some good lessons in there, and we tend to sort of go back and check in on that, and especially when we're talking about new foils, it's always good to check in and sort of see how they behave, because actually, a lot of the big lesson spin is you can't ignore it, and it makes a lot of sense. Because we've seen a lot of things on the water that we saw first in the simulator, although even at the time we might not have believed it. It's been pretty accurate.
Yeah, wow. And the whole regulation around the foil size and shape and everything was all to do with the riding moment to stop dropping the pipe, of which you successfully did on 11-1. Was any relationship to foils there, or not at all?
It's hard to say, really. We did quite a lot of sort of forensic work to try and figure out what happened, but because obviously we couldn't recover the top part of the mast, it was hard to really know. I mean, personally, I think it was tube failure, and that rig had seen a lot. It's also the case that over the winter, a lot of the Imoca fleet have beefed up their masts just around the lowers.
Right.
Sort of a fleet wide thing, and we broke the mast about a meter above that, so that might have been something. Yeah, right. But for sure, the foils do put a lot of load on the boat.
I had a theory on that mast for you, SiFi. It might have been because Alex kept walking up and down the bloody thing all the time that it wore it out.
But his stiletto, that time his stiletto got
went
through the sidewall.
Well, it's fair to say stilettos or not, it's been well raced and rallied, that mast. It's seen several transatlantics and a lot of good racing, and even during the cruise stuff we've done, we've always pushed the boat pretty hard. And actually it was a shame. Obviously, one of the great things about 11-1 is it's a pretty known quantity, and we got that boat to being pretty reliable, so we could push it pretty hard. But ironically, at the time the mast fell down, we weren't pushing that hard at all. Yeah. But we just did a big acceleration, and then slowly came to a halt as we were sort of going down the way. So and then that was
slowly came to a halt. Slowly came to a halt.
Slower than you'd imagine. It wasn't like getting ejected. It's quite easy to go spearing into the wave in front, doing about 35 knots, and you get ejected out of your little sinking position and down the hatch. But in that case, it came sort of gradually to a halt because all the masts had gone over the front of the boat. So
that was another question I had. Like, there's a lot of conjecture about, the riding moments and the mast and stuff. And the other big one with these foiling boats was, how the hell could you get any sleep?
That's something we're still
basically. So
it's pretty savage.
Yeah, for the listener, a traditional boat, you're worried about the slamming zone kind of being up in front of the rig. Whereas these boats, the slamming zone is essentially on the leeward side behind the keel, right?
No, exactly. And these boats have sort of been evolved to be certainly all Guillaume's designs are monolithic on the bow to help with the slamming. And that monolithic zone has just moved steadily further and further aft. And actually, we still do, just to keep the boat down a weight, have a bit of core under the back, but it sees a lot of punishment. So
just to add to the acoustics a little more. I've never seen a drum work that well with core in it, but something monolithic, she is a drum.
Yeah. No, it's something else between like the humming of the foils and like the slamming and it's pretty hard to sleep in these things. And at least when the guys are single-handed, they've got to kind of slow down enough to be able to leave the boat on the pilot and sleep a bit. But when we're sailing fully crewed or even double-handed, there's always someone on deck trying to go fast. So it makes I think sometimes you just sort of submit to unconsciousness because you're so tired.
You brought up a point. There's a lot of things, variables there that I'd be interested to see where the priorities are and where the developments have gone. But one thing clearly, talking about going fast, but to win a race, you got to finish a race. And so the reliability, I think that reliability question, the early start for the boat you've got, the new boat, is it had a few issues. Just the new video you launched, there was plenty of opportunity to see some of those issues. So
for sure,
she's reliable now. She's a rocket ship.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, we pushed it pretty hard across the Atlantic, and and the guys are racing in Bermuda right now. So it's the reliability is coming up and up, and we're pushing the boat harder and harder. But it's true, it's going to be the ocean race is really going to be a case of knowing when you can go hell for leather and as fast as it potentially can. And then there's going to be a lot of the times where you're just trying to find a good balance between speed and not just smashing your brains out with the pounding and the sea state.
Well, fortunately, we've got
something that's somewhat sustainable for boat and crew.
Yeah, fortunately, we've got a little bit older and wiser SiFi, because that was certainly not the approach we took with ABN AMRO too. It was just foot to the floor, and just we wouldn't even know what the consequences were going to be.
Yeah, that's probably good. I'm like the old fart on the boat now, telling everyone to slow down.
Slow down up there. We're never going to make it to the finish.
You're going to break it.
By the way, the boys are 13.7 nautical miles from the finish, according to the tracker as we're recording. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. They were doing. I've been nerding out a little bit on the data. We have some quite good telemetry stuff that comes off the boat when they connect to the internet. So I just before I was on this call, I was nerding out a bit and checking how they were going, and they were doing. I think they were averaging about 20 knots at 75 true. So,
it's insane.
26 is in there. So, and you can average 25 at 70 true in these boats, which gives you an idea of why the slamming's so bad, because
full on
the waves are against you. It's it's something else.
Yeah. Bloody hell. So, stepping back a little bit, actually looking into the future for the ocean race, and then we'll talk about how we got here. What's the team looking like? I noticed there's been a few different crew members over the last year or so. How's that all shaping up? Everything's looking good, both on the water and off?
Yeah. No, we're building a good team. It's nice. Obviously, there's not that many people on board now, but we're just trying to sort of figure our sort of rotation out and all that sort of stuff. I think that the boats are quite punishing, as I've alluded to. So we're sort of just trying to build the squad out. Obviously, there's Charlie and myself as a core, Justine and Francesca has come on board with us as well, so the girls can have a bit of rotation too. And then I think in the very near future that we'll be announcing some more people. I don't want to jump the gun and get a slap on the wrist from the comms team. I won't say too much.
Oh, no, they know well. They just,
and obviously,
we got a message before. If SiFi, he can say anything he wants, no problem.
Yeah. And then obviously we have Amory, who's is on board as our media crew member, but is an all-round superstar. So it's great to have him involved as well.
I don't know if it's the short straw or the ultimate to be on for the Southern Ocean leg.
Yeah.
Like, it'll go down in history as one of the most epic legs ever in Whitbread Volvo ocean race history, but completely relentless.
Yeah. It's going to be like
sort of the question. That's where I was going to go.
I think.
That's where I was going to go. The question I was going to go. I mean, how are you managing that? I mean, you're obviously training hard about, worrying about the boat and trying to get the performance out of the boat. What about yourself? I mean, come on, man. This is like, this is really,
I mean, a lot of this, like our last transatlantic and when we sail back in just under a month's time, that's a lot of the question we're trying to answer is kind of how we're going to do this for a month.
Yeah.
Because it is tough, and it's going to be, it's really going to be about finding a pace that's sort of sustainable. And if we've got the boat to a point where it's super reliable, then the thing that'll probably start breaking next is, if we get the boat reliable, the thing that'll start breaking next is the crew, I reckon.
It's interesting, isn't it? I don't think that is the way.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, no,
I don't
absolutely.
think. I don't think the majority of the world really get a true understanding of it. I mean, I definitely can't. I can't imagine what it would be like.
No,
I'm just
no,
trying.
it's
I'm trying to see the 11th hour has Musto on board as a sponsor. And I'm just seeing how Musto branching out to one of the armor companies
Gridiron hat
to dress
gridiron
the
top.
team. Yeah.
yeah, it might not be a bad idea.
NFL style.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm
For the
getting
first
my
time
gear
in my
on.
sailing career, I've started sailing in knee pads, but part of the back problem is because the roof's not very high, so I spend a lot of time shuffling around my knees.
Yeah, it's like
It's pretty different, actually.
Well, hopefully
It's,
Musto get rid of those bloody hats with that little steel bit on the top.
yeah.
So every
Yeah,
time
yeah.
you lift your head under the deck, fuck, got me again.
Yeah, there's plenty of headbanging potential. It's quite funny. It's like when we design these boats, obviously we're pretty covered up. It's kind of a different world because you don't get pounded by the waves.
Yeah.
You're sort of generally looking out through a window, watching the boat getting pounded by the waves. And the way because the cockpits are so deep, your kind of heads at like at shear line level or like at deck level. So you see all the water just like rushing past you. But yeah, actually pretty well protected. But yeah, the sort of slamming around is pretty full on. And actually you're sitting, not standing, so your back kind of takes a beating.
Yeah. I was watching some video today, and I was just going, man, I couldn't just be bent over like that never get to stand up, like that would just do my head in. I'll be
Q
Land Rover joke for Jordan. No, I get every day just driving the fucking thing.
I think when everyone thought these boats up with the roofs, they're like, we're going to be heeled over, there'll be no problem, there'll be plenty of headroom because you'll be at 15, 20 degrees. But of course with the foil, the faster you go, the more upright you go. So our average heel angle would be 5 degrees. So you're always, and then that adds to the slamming again. So it's like
you need a center channel or something. I don't know how to fix it, but anyway, it would be a total pain in the ass with the advent of the race coming. Are you looking at the other teams? Because you've got a couple of new builds still to hit the water, from what I understand. There's not many boats in the ocean race in the 60s, but what is there is pretty good, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I'd be very interested.
No, for sure.
Any ideas on who's going to win? What to watch for?
I'm hoping we are,
yeah.
but certainly we're trying to put the work in, and we're lucky to have a bit of extra time. Obviously the others, there's 4 boats confirmed right now, and 2 of the 4 are still in build. So both Boris Herman with Malizia and Paul Mayat with Biotherm are sort of going to be in a timed run, and they're both planning on doing the route to run. So from the moment those guys hit the water, they're going to be flat out. So
full fever mode.
Just sort of having lived through the whole workup of 11-2 last year and into this year, even it's you can see how much work there's going to be. So it's going to be tough for them, but they're going to be good, and I think the boats are going to be very good. And Paul's certainly a very, very good sailor, very smart sailor, and I think his boat's going to be linked out with actually very similar foils to 11-1. So I think we can guarantee on them being quick.
Yep.
Boris for us is a bit more unknown. He's a PPLP boat, and we've seen a sort of reasonable spread of different foils and some of those from those PPLP designs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then obviously 11-1, we know that's quick, and we know she's pretty strong as well. So they'll certainly have their moments. So I think it'll be a good race.
Yeah, I mean, Tomo is obviously, he's going gangbusters as it is. Like, he's always at the front of the fleet. So, that's going to go on. Are you guys fully across what everyone's doing? So, like with Boris or the Biotherm boys, are they able to look at your foils? Do they know all your data, or are you able to keep some secrets? Because, like, for example...
No, I think we're...
Go on, keep going.
I think we're able to keep some secrets still, yeah.
Cool.
And everything ends up being sort of very, very boat specific. So everything sort of is a closely guarded secret. There's always a bit of chat around the tracks in France, but everyone plays their cards pretty close to their chest. And at Pivia, Charlie Dallan is who has been dominating this last year. Really, he he's very good at playing his cards close to his chest. So
So that's what I'm interested, because I was going to say Epivia she's the weapon at the moment. You know, but it's a Guiana boat, you know, and
yeah.
so surely you know,
the lessons are learned. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the foils. You know what the foils are, or is there Chinese walls? Guiana won't share. Of course he's gonna. I don't know.
No, I think Guiana's very good. Guiana's very good like that, and he sees every boat he designs as a sort of journey he goes on with the team he's on. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously stuff he learns along the way that he can't unlearn. But I think even within that, everyone has their own ideas and wants to optimize in different directions and that sort of stuff. And so I think it's going to be interesting.
Reality is, though, I mean, 6 months out from the start of the race, those foils have been designed and been built already. So
yeah,
based on the hours needed to, I mean, if there was a long lead time and you can see the performance, a lot of work would have had to been done to make decisions as a bit of a guess as well, because there's no such thing as seeing what you want and then going to build it and she's in the boat in 2 weeks' time.
No. And that's the wild thing about these foils. I mean, part of the, you know, they've been getting bigger and bigger, and then that means they take even longer to build. There's like from start to finish, you know, it's almost a 6-month process to get a set of foils from design and onto the boat. So in that sense, they're kind of a bit self-regulating on how many foils a team can build, because, you know, the lead time's so long. It's hard to sort of get enough hours on the ones you've got before you go for another set.
Not to
figure
mention
everything out.
Not to mention if you were going to pay in cryptocurrency, given the fact that your investment isn't going that well at the minute.
Yeah. If you're paying in crypto, you've been squirming a bit in the last few weeks.
Exactly. There'll be some tears out there.
Oh, shit.
Well, you have to say, just from a foil perspective, the new builds they're done. They're building their foils. They're not going to have any chance to do any development. You guys are done with your foils, I would suggest, unless you've got some special ones that you're not telling us about that are under build at the moment. In likelihood, you're building a spare set, you know, or you've got your old set you'll use as a spare set in case something breaks. But
exactly. No, we have got some more coming, and they'll come online at the end of the summer.
Oh.
But which ones we'll end up racing with is I guess it's still an open question. So.
Wow, so exciting, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah. No, it's good.
What about? I'm really interested if there's been like any change. The rig's it's a one design rig basically, so there's not much you can do there. Has there been any new sort of sail ideas, or is there new techniques? Like, have pilots advanced? You know, have you got some special magic pilot or any navigation routing stuff that's sort of advanced? Like, is there? Where's the development there?
Oh, there's a lot of development going on in the pilot world.
Okay.
There's always sort of upgrades coming there. So if you go to sort of the Imoca fleet, there's sort of 2 camps. There's the Pixel Sermer camp, who do the Exocet product, which is Jeff Cuson and his team. And they have a processor and a pilot processor. And then there's also the Bravo Madintech guys. So there are these 2 companies working pretty hard on all the pilot systems that sort of service the Imoca and the old team fleet, and also a lot of the Class 40s. So with the pilots now, rather than just sailing on heading or true wind angle, we have like a whole suite of overlays. So you can also tell it what boat speed you want to go, what apparent wind angle you want to go, what heel you want to be at, and you can sort of specify the range of how far up and down from your sort of set true wind angle or heading you want to go. So there's a lot you can play with.
Right.
So it's actually pretty interesting.
Do you SiFi? You're a bit of a whiz, I would say, in the IT world. Have you developed a specific name for this? I know we've had Siri and Alexa out there, but do you have something like SiFi up 5, SiFi 28 knots, SiFi 4 degrees angle of heel, SiFi slow down to 16 knots, slow down to 16 knots. I'm having a snooze.
Maybe that's what we need, a bit of voice activation.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise your thumbs get sore. It's like Game Boy. Like, I wanted to get the pilot controller into an old Game Boy or something, because you end up with this Game Boy away, isn't it? It's kind of like fly-by-wire steering. When you're sort of sailing crude and there's 2 of you, or even when there's 1 of you, you know, you kind of always, the pilot's kind of doing its thing, but you're always like adjusting it and altering it and all of that. So it's you're still kind of on top of the steering. It's just
imagine the AI eventually gets so good. It's like, piss off. I'm doing my job. Just leave me alone. Stop playing with me.
Well, the massive advantage that the pilot has now is it's got absolutely no fear. So, and it doesn't really care how much you're slamming. So,
it must be
a few incidents, especially
must be a ginger.
Yeah, with the old boat, when we were trying to figure it out, we're sort of kind of, when we were first sailing sort of fully crewed, we were all quite sort of new to the pilot world. And there was a few instances where the pilot would just be tearing off. I remember going through a front of the Atlantic in like 2020 and we're doing like 75, 80 true, and the boat was off. We're in 30 knots and the boat was trying to do 30 knots. And we were all like crawling around on the floor trying to get to the pilot control to slow this thing down.
Trying to reach up and grab it.
Who had it last? Damn it, where is it?
Yeah. There's definitely moments the boat just takes off at 1,000,000 miles an hour and then you're like scrambling to get to the pilot before everything explodes. Moment in the Ocean Race Europe where we came out of this front and it was absolutely pan flat water at about 30 knots of breeze. So we're all on deck, all like huddled in the little cockpit on 11.1. And the boat's just pinning it. It's out averaging 30 knots of breeze. We're all just sat there in the cockpit with everything cleated, kind of looking at each other going, oh, what do we do here? Don't touch anything. We're going really fast. It's just sailing itself. Our moments, that's for sure.
It's a whole new thing, isn't it? Whole new world.
What about,
Yowzers.
we have to ask, and I'll ask this with the utmost respect, have you developed any looking forward sort of technology because it's hard to see off the boats and the old 11th hour likes to collect things.
We've certainly collected a few things.
Yeah. So
it's difficult. Actually, the new boat's way, way better than the old boat.
Right.
In terms of vision with the bubbles. You can actually see out and you can see to leeward. And
I noticed that.
Round to your back quarter. 11.1, you had these two little windows and it was actually really tough to see out. Yeah. But we have the Oscar thing on the top of the mast, which is the French company's developed this. It's got a thermal camera or infrared camera, and a visual camera, and that'll sound an alarm if it gets anything in there. And it's good just for sort of seeing out because it's at the top of the mast. And at night you can use the sort of the IR camera to sort of see what's going on in front of you. And it is good, it'll pick up things as small as lobster pots now.
Yeah, right.
Oh, right.
So we've had some pretty, and it's a product that's constantly evolving, so it's getting better and better. And then we got plenty of fixed cameras on board. And Justin Schaffer, who worked with our team last year and sort of continues to do a bit with us, did some really nice work with this whole camera system on board, and it's all fed to an app. So the whole boat kind of runs through an app, and you've got all these cameras. So it's kind of tough to see out, but we're getting more and more reliant on the cameras for everything, even for maneuvers. When you're down in the pit and you can't just look straight at the guy in the bow. You're there using the cameras to see what's going on forward, and you're all calmed up and what have you.
You can almost see a situation where the Oscar is talking to the pilot. And I think
some of the old teams are doing that already. We haven't gone that far, but there's all the stuff's kind of written for collision avoidance. So if the Oscar gets a target, we haven't really used it, but I think that some of the tries have tested it, and it'll do a course avoidance. It's pretty impressive stuff.
It is. Well, you need to.
Well, we've got the name for the camera, Oscar,
but
he's a bit of a grouch. He won't talk to anyone. His only friend was Mr. Snuffleupagus, right?
Maybe that's the name for the pilot, mate.
Snuffleupagus.
Just call it Snuff for
I
short.
get some funny looks when I get back on the boat in a few weeks' time and ask to turn Mr. Snuffleupagus on.
That is the best name
Been
ever.
hanging out with the kids? No, just on Mark.
That is the best name ever.
SiFi. I dare you, SiFi, to do it.
The pilot. What's the pilot's name? Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Say that much, Dick.
There's going to be Sesame Street T-shirts roaming around everywhere now.
That's our new range.
It is pretty cool. The other thing that is interesting, mate, is given the 11th hour connection, is there any sort of alternate materials that are being used in the build process? 11th Hour do such a good job about creating knowledge in circular economy and using alternate materials that are recyclable. And, that's the future. That sort of comes into my world these days with my real work. And I'm really interested, what alternate materials you've experimented with. Is there anything that we've got?
Yeah. So there's a fair bit on the boat. We've actually did quite a few tests between building there's a few tests building a carbon component and one in flax fiber and sort of biomaterials and bioresin. So actually a lot of the non-structural panels in the boat, things like engine covers, the cockpit doors, the emergency hatch on the back of the boat, it's all made with flax fiber and I think bioresin as well. So actually there's sort of more and more coming in. And then they have these power ribs as well. As company make these power ribs, which is kind of like a sort of open weave that they stick on the back of panels to give them more structure. So yeah, we've been sort of testing that quite a bit, and also taking the time to do some comparisons with the equivalent carbon part in a few instances just to sort of get a baseline, and it's been pretty interesting. And it's good. The Imoca class actually incentivize people to use this sort of stuff, so you get a bit of a leg up in the measurement stakes by using these materials. So we actually tried to put as much in as we can. Obviously, talking about how much of beating these boats got, we've had to sort of take a reasonably conservative approach to it all, and don't want to get too far into the unknown. But certainly where we could, we've used flax fiber and bioresins and that sort of stuff, and it's pretty cool when you go downstairs. You see all that immediately, which is nice.
Yeah, good. It's cool. Very cool, actually.
It's pretty cool as well. Just the whole build, the sort of build report from a sustainability standpoint that the team have put together, Damien and Amy Monroe and the whole team at 11th Hour Racing's been phenomenal. I think everything was quantified when they built the boat, and obviously it's still a race boat and it's still a carbon boat and it still has a carbon footprint, but they actually invested the time to look really diligently at what the cost was, both in sort of CO2, environmental terms, monetary terms, and all of that to build this boat. And actually, there's like a 200-page document now that you can read through. So anyone wanting to build a race boat can look at that and very quickly grab hold of the low-hanging fruit to reduce the impact of their build. So
yeah,
I think the one that Damien always mentions is if you just get your boat builder on a renewable energy tariff in their yard, it makes a massive saving. So it's it's been a pretty cool process, and actually bloody impressive to see what the guys have done and how diligently they quantified everything in building this boat. So
I remember a couple of years ago it was I think it's now been released. I think it was called Marine Shift 360 or something, where you could track all those elements. And now that we were working on that, or you had a team working on that for the last few years, and now that is a model that's out there. You can actually. Is that what you're referring to, or it's a separate document?
Yeah. Well, that was a big part of it. So I think that was just one element of the whole design and build report.
Yeah.
But so Marine Shift 360 was a big part of it, and so I know Amy Monroe spent hours and hours and hours of going around every department, figuring out what's been used, how much weight of different materials, all of that, where they come from, how far they've traveled to get there, and all that sort of stuff, and that all goes into the report. So
it was very detailed. We looked at it quite heavily with what we're doing, but obviously it was very early in the piece, and we were watching it develop in front of us almost every day. We'd get another email with something, but as you said a second ago, there is a relative unknown to it, and it's a process that things are happening slowly, and it's a good thing to have them on the boat. But as you say, it's still a little bit unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But no, it's good. I mean, I think the good thing is certainly we sort of tried where we can to do stuff, and you figure out what works and what doesn't, and all the sort of reporting that the team's done is good, because at least it's set a baseline and everyone can work from there.
Keeping in mind, this is a very solid education process too, right? And now you've got a pretty good banner which is going to be getting around the world telling the story. And I know I'll never look at anything again the same, in the sense of just flying into any sort of project. You're definitely looking from those points of view as well. So it's good.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And it's, a big part of what the team does is just being involved, in the sport, but looking how you change it from within, and a lot of that's education and also learning. So,
So good.
I'll
really
say
that gets quantified in our team, kind of gets passed on to everyone else. And like we've also got this sustainability toolbox thing is for like people who want to run teams or events or whatever, and that's all available freely online for people to quantify stuff. So it's good. It's a nice step
is
in the right
11th
direction.
Hour still running vegetarian Mondays, Simon?
Sorry, say again, mate.
Is 11th Hour still running vegetarian Mondays?
Meat free Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good.
that's cool. So,
actually, one of my favorite freeze dries is vegetarian now. I didn't think I'd ever say that. But the vegetable chili is like
fantastic,
almost unsurpassed.
Yeah,
it's eatable.
That'll actually be a good little, just something to look forward to going through the Southern Ocean for 30 days. Must be Monday. Vegetarian all day.
Vegetarian freeze dry is on the menu.
I do want to say, if you are a manufacturer, say you're a boat builder or you're a manufacturer of something, just go to the 11th Hour site because they do have all those toolboxes, or you're running an event. They've done all the work and the effort for you. Just go and just see how, one, it saves you money. I'll say that. It saves you money, but it also reduces your environmental impact. So it's a no-brainer. Just go and do it. That's all I'll say. Now we could go back. We should actually do an episode where we rate all the different freeze-dried foods. Have we ever thought about doing that?
We could do it like the beer tasting.
Yes.
Blindfolded,
freeze-dried
tasting each one, saying which one it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we'll do,
now we're talking.
You be the taster, Bice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll blindfold you. BP will pass you the food, right, blindfolded, and I'll stand off to the side with a bucket of ice cold water I just throw on you as you're eating each time.
Yeah.
Won't have to. I'm in the pod, bro. Just eating out of my little dog bowl.
Yeah.
Hanging out
exactly.
in the pod.
You can stay dry, eat, and the pod will be driving. So.
And hanging out with Oscar and Mr. Stuff.
You just might need to scramble down.
Hey, one of the things I've noticed, SiFi, with the team, you're not doing any of the single-hander stuff with the boat. So you're only doing crewed racing, whether it's double-handed or fully crewed racing. So is that part of the plan, or are you going to be doing a couple of the races? So the Arctic, obviously, you guys didn't do that. Obviously, racing to we're right, basically Bermuda now, but Defy Azimuth, that's a double-hander. You guys doing that? The Route de Rome, you guys doing that? What's the story? What's the program to that race?
So basically, like the whole Imoca program kind of alternates year on year between single-handed and double-handed. So it actually was nice last year. Obviously, we had a sort of double-handed season, and with the race being postponed, it sort of makes sense to do all that. And it was a great opportunity to do some short-handed sailing that I hadn't done before. But this year, the program's all very much single-handed because the guys sort of work up towards the Route de Rome, which is why we haven't done things like the one-day Arctic or the Bermudas 1000 they had earlier in the year as well. But actually, they're going to have a crew class in the Defi Azimuth, so we're definitely if they do have a crewed thing, we're going to be there racing. Any opportunity we have to sail against the other boats, then we'd certainly grab with both hands. So, and then obviously we can't do the Route de Rome crewed, but every opportunity we have to sail with the other boats is one we always take. And actually, in April they have they have these pole training sessions out of Port La Forêt, with where a lot of the boats join in, and even though we've been in crewed mode and they've been trying to learn about single-handed mode, we sort of sail with them when we can, and just by lining up with the other guys, you always learn a lot, and it's always super interesting. So definitely any opportunity to sail against another 60, we're right on it. But really for us now, it's transatlantic back. The boat will do Bermuda race, go back to the States, and it's a bit more time for the team out there. Obviously, it's the home of 11th Hour Racing Newport, so and the home for Charlie. So the guys who enjoy being there for a little while longer, and then we'll sail the boat back, try and push the boat hard on the way back, and learn a bit more. And then we've got a little mini refit, and then back into training in September in the sort of final run up to the ocean race, and we'll get our next set of foils, and then also Azimuth and all the training sessions that we can make. We'll sail against the other boats, and then at the end of the year arrive in in Alicante, and ready for the race, hopefully.
So what's when are you heading back to the States?
I think I go July 16th. I go back, so got a few weeks to rest up and relax and hit it hard when I go back.
Good, nice.
By the way, the boys are finished. It looks like I've just checked the tracker. It looks like they're in and complete.
Nice.
So no damage, all good. Happy days.
What was the
yeah?
What was the crew format for this race, or what did they sail under? How many people?
So they sailed with 5. It was Charlie, Justine, and Amo, and then they were joined by Ian Walsh, who's a big wave surfer. I think he's originally from Rhode Island, but lives in Hawaii now. And Eleanor Height, who's a pro snowboarder. So it was a sort of a little opportunity to show some other extreme athletes what sailing's all about. So hopefully, I think they had a couple of really nice days sailing in like 10, 15 knots of breeze off of Rhode Island, and now they've been pounded all the way to Bermuda at about 70, 80 true. So it'll be interesting to hear their take on things.
We
I was a bit worried they were getting lulled into a full sense of security.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, they're holding up pretty well, so that's good.
We should try and get hold of them. That'll be an interesting take.
It'd be an interesting thing, if you'd never sailed before, to come on and your first boat is first time on a boat is an offshore race on a Imoca 60, fully falling Imoca 60. It'd be quite the story. Like you'd come away from it just going, these blokes are insane. Like what the hell is going on?
Yeah. I think it'd definitely be an eye opener. I know Ian's done a bit of sailing before, and there was a documentary that I think that Amo shot actually, which was called Lines to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, Ian, Travis Rice, and a few other guys did some stuff, in the Pacific in the gunboat. But I think that'd probably be a very different experience.
Yeah. I think Travis. Cool
to hear the take on it.
I think Travis sold that boat to John Florence now, so I think that gunboat's still going. But
yeah.
I completely had a question I was going to, but it's disappeared out of my head now, so I apologise for that. But
Bossy.
Oh no, don't worry about me. I'm just smart ass comments.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Just disappeared out of his head. Come on.
No.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, so might as well. We'll sort of maybe move it on. I think. I reckon we're going to keep you on board, mate, and just talk about a few other things in the world, because if we go into the Arctic, we can talk about what's happened there and maybe get a little bit of input from you. Are you guys happy to do that?
Here.
Okay.
Give it a go.
Sure.
So we'll roll into our other news. Club events this week, boys. Kiel Week. Let's call that a club event, shall we? It's just a little event off the north coast of Germany.
Little event in a big place in a country.
Yeah. Kiel Week started. So if you're interested, jump onto that.
Want to give us a rundown on the 5-0s, mate? Who are we looking out for?
Actually, I'll be on it. We'll do
what's his name? Doctor, what's his name? He's still there and he'd be going for it.
Yeah, Wolfmeister.
Wolfgang Hunger. That's right. He's the Kiel legend, mate. How
many's he won now?
Kiel Weeks? I don't know. Yeah. It's like 193, I think. We'll get somebody on before the 5-0 Worlds, actually, just in case. We haven't talked about 5-0s for a while, so we need to bring that back into the whole program. But we need to
keep up to date.
Yeah, we probably.
All right, what are we on to here? Come on, Kiel Week. Yeah, it's kicking off.
Kiel Week's on, just drawing people's attention in case they haven't been watching that. It's a great event in a truly salubrious, like one of the places on the planet that you really want to go and spend time at. It can be freezing cold and miserable out there, but Kiel Week is a major event, but it's just drawing attention. Jack Lloyd, Listener of the Week. We got some great nominations this week. Have you boys had a look at my nominations?
We certainly have. I am just currently trying to go to my favourite nomination, that is.
Yeah.
Which has to sit with our mate about the Gingers.
Yeah, Ben Day, Facebook. Keep a ginger safe day. It's a annual event in the Northern Hemisphere. Keep a ginger safe day. It's the summer solstice. He sent us a link, and it's a picture.
Dangerous time for gingers.
Yeah.
100%.
Longest day of the week of the year. Keep a ginger safe by keeping them inside, which I quite like. I thought that was pretty funny. Big fan of that one. Anything else that you guys want to bring up?
We had a couple others there. I must say, and again, for the listeners, we love seeing what comes in, what flows in and out, just like the tide. So keep it all coming in. A few emails. Believe you had a phone call this week.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that was interesting. Mick Babbage, MEB Sales. He's a local sailmaker, great mate, very talented sailor. Very hard man to beat on a race course. Remember I went off a little bit about people not taking responsibility with the voting thing. You know, like you get what you deserve because you don't take.
Oh, so when you went off about the Russians,
yes, whatever it was. Anyway,
can't believe you're still alive, by the way.
Yeah. Mick rang up and said it sort of sparked him into thinking about it a lot more, and he said he really appreciated it. He said, like, I do have responsibility, so that was nice, But the other one is Brett Shivers. Brett Shivers has been a long-time supporter of the show. He's ex-army or just retiring from the army, and he pointed out in the Ocean Globe race, there's a military veterans team joins the Ocean Globe race, which has a good sort of story about it. So I suggest if you want to have a look at that, the military veterans team for the 23 Ocean Globe race, he drew our attention to that, and I thought it's worth a look for a lot of people. Did you guys have a look at that link?
Well, I still have a little finger in the pie with the Ocean Globe race, so yes. I am quite over that. Those guys have been talking about it for quite some time now, but it goes back to the roots as a matter of the actual original Whitbread as well, with what was done out of the UK at the time with some military, several military driven boats for that matter. So good, all in line with the idea of the Dons race.
One of our weekly contributors, Sean Wagner, sent something in which was just we just can't read that to you, and just the visual from that one. I'm not even going to touch it, but he knows what he did. He should hang his head in shame. It was just too far. But my favourite one was from Russell Morris. Did you guys see that? I don't know if you guys like this one at all.
Well, I like it because he brought up something funny, agreed with me a little bit.
Indeed, he did.
Do tell.
Do you want me to read it? This is
go
on.
So
maybe SiFi can judge.
Yeah, okay. I'll read it out. It's probably a couple of minutes of reading, and my eyesight's going. So look, like the turn you took with Steve Ladd, I've always preferred the adventure side, mostly because I'm embarrassingly uncompetitive on a race course. Couple of ideas on quality adventures sailing from people you probably have not heard of. So Sailing Wind Hippie. Great bones of the arse girl, taking first cruising window, pre-kids. Amazing heritage. Order and read this book. Okay, so best cruising book I've ever laid my hands on, from her parents when she was 9 years old, sailing to Iceland and Norway, wintering over. A whole bunch of discussion about a few different books. Suggests that talks about another couple, Dave and Jarja, who... first cruising window circumnavigated in a Cow 25, including 2 kids on board.
Oh.
Jesus. People, what is it with the US? People trying to shove people in such small boats. He suggests that we get those guys on and do a show all together, which would be a great one. He likes the fact that we're scraping the bottom of the barrel with the bones of your ass cruises rather than the fully funded $1 million yachts or the tens of thousands of dollars funded Olympic campaign. Sorry about that, SiFi. And for
you
BP, he mentions BP. He said, I also did Over the Top Rally and Darwin Ambon in 95. Agree with you, BP. Awesome regatta and rallies. Great fella called Dave Smith on a boat called Imoca. Sailed with those two with us in 95, then turned up in 97 with my parents a few years later, waiting to go through the Panama Canal. As it turns out, he had a 14-year-old on board, as his other crew bailed out at the last minute, so Dave had to take the lad, all lined up via snail mail in Australia. Perhaps that Pacific crossing had something to do with it, but that turns out that the whippersnapper's name was Jesse Martin. And well, you know the rest of that story. So last heard Dave Smith was sanding floors in the back of Mooloolaba. Living legend if you ever bump into him, blah, blah, blah. Agree with BP 100% when chatting to Xavier about the fishing and sushi, regardless of whether you happen to be racing or not. Mate, he sells himself short there because he says he's uncompetitive on the race course in the first sentence and finishes off saying, yeah, you've got to keep fishing no matter if you're racing or not. There's probably his problem. But like a lot of detail, the gist of it was he loved the stories about the adventure stuff. From my perspective, I like that too because I think Bar Karate has we try and cover everything. We want to get every form of sailing because there's no such thing as bad sailing in the world. You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that he is into it and gave us that sort of rundown, I think that was good. So he's my nomination for Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week. Anything else you want to put up, lads? That's it?
No, I did. When I did read Russell's email, I thought that's good. He's gone to a lot of effort actually to put all that down and brings back some good memories. So concur. Okay. We'll go with Russ.
Go with Russ.
SiFi?
May or may not receive something in the post.
SiFi? Fishing going
Yeah, he gets my vote as well.
Gets
my vote. My sailing ambitions extend to cruising now. So, yeah, a bit of cruising and adventure. So I'm all for that.
It's funny how we all evolve.
My cruising will be in warm places, in calm seas. But
love it.
On a motorboat with a fridge and a microwave.
And
a voice-controlled autopilot.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr.
Exactly.
Snuffleupagus.
That'll be a must. Mr. Snuffleupagus is going to come with us as well.
Yeah, all right. So congratulations, Russell Morris. Tough life you must have led growing up with that name because one of the most famous Australian singers, Russell Morris, from the 60s. So everyone probably, every time he walks in or gets introduced, everyone would say, give us a song, I reckon.
From memory, Jordan?
Yeah. Everyone knows who Russell Morris is, surely. Anyway,
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
It's hot time with Bice.
Yeah. I didn't have my tracksuit pants on with the rips down the side to rip them off for you there, SiFi, when that song comes on.
He does it every week. I'm disappointed that he didn't do it this week. I can't believe it.
Hey, mate, I've got to say there's been plenty on the plate, but there's been one key topic that's come up this week. We can maybe go just plenty on the plate. The Vendée Arctique, just to chat about first. Just general discussion, seeing we do have SiFi here.
Yep.
But basically, a race around Iceland. Go figure. Really? 1. 2, it's been stopped. And they're all just anchored up in the lee of a bloody big island called Iceland. So, Jordan, you were a keen observer in this particular, and I guess you were watching it pretty hard, SiFi. But basically, a massive depression come through, and there's one place you don't want to be when that happens, and that is in Imoca by yourself.
And in a place called Iceland.
Correct. What do you say? Like the conditions you saw, SiFi, was it just going to be absolutely heinous? A decision that had to be made, or there's always a bit of conjecture?
Yeah, it was a tough one. And actually, I think before the race, I read some stuff about, the guys have got to get up there and manage themselves and all of that. But I think that it looked like the weather got so extreme that they kind of felt they had to do something because there was 50 knots of gradient in the forecast as that depression swept through the fleet. So that's gusting God knows how much. And there wasn't really anywhere the guys could run to either. So I think that's why they made the decision to stop the race. So I think that the leaders were able to get across the line and then hide in the lee of Iceland.
That's it.
Yeah. Ophelia and Linktail end up tied up in a fjord somewhere.
Yeah.
And then some of the guys further back could sort of turn around again and run away. So
handbrakey. Going back the other way, just running as fast as you can. Was there anything you saw from a performance point of view? Anyone jump out? We kind of had the to me, the normal guys up the front. Bureau Valley was kind of that's kind of something that caught my eye. They were kind of nipping at the heels of the front couple.
Yeah. No, look good. Obviously, it was like a Pivia, like we said before, it was always sailing well, sailing smart. Charlie Danan always starts very well as well, so he usually gets in front and is able to manage his race. But yeah, Charal and Linked Out were pushing him pretty hard. And then, I think Bureau Valley's a sort of interesting one to watch. In the Vendée last time, when it was L'Occitane, it never really got to show its full potential.
Yeah.
They had some issues early on. But certainly from speaking with Guillaume, that's always a boat he's watching very closely. And I think it has a lot of potential. So as I know that was another retiree from the TJV as well with a broken mast on the first night. So that boat hasn't really had a proper run out. But I think it's definitely going to be one to watch. The new Charal is actually a man-wide design. So
wow.
So that would be interesting to see when that launches later in the year from the same stable, what they've done the same and what they've done differently. But it was I'm always watching these Imoca races pretty closely. It's always interesting to see how they're going. But it's no surprise that sort of a Pivia and Charal and Linked Out who are sort of the more consistent teams with more time, more experience, more hours on the water are going to the front. But there's always, it's always impressive, and I think it was quite light for a lot of it. So the guys were kind of struggling in light airs for a little bit, but looked like Nico Lumben putting another good showing in a non-foiling boat.
Yep.
Scrapping away with the foilers. He did really well in the previous regatta as well. I think he got a fourth or something.
Yeah.
In there, sailed really well for the boat he was in. And I guess it started to race was quite good as well because it got so light. The fleet kind of got split up, so it gave some other guys a bit of a run out at the front of the fleet who were non-foilers.
Absolutely. Next on my list, boys, and we have touched on it a little bit throughout the show. The Bermuda race. By the time everyone's going to be listening to this, we've definitely got two finishes. One of which being Argo, the Mod 70, which new record, 33 hours. Is that right? Right on 33 hours. And I'm not sure of the monohull record, but I've got a feel it is the 11th hour going to get the monohull record. Do we know what that record is?
I think the record that Argo got was the previous record was 34 and 40 something minutes, which was Comanche. So Argo's
copy. Yeah,
beating Comanche's record, and 11th hour will be a few hours outside of that.
Right. Yeah, sure. Impressive nonetheless.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the rest of the fleet, basically, they had to just now compete and get across a bit of a ridge, right, and then into the next set of breeze, which ranges from everything from Santa Cruz 70s to Pac 52s to all sorts.
Yeah. So the first two boats, I'll go ahead of the front. I've been sailing like southwesterly breeze the whole time, and then the rest of the fleet kind of got rolled through the front on the first night. So they're all sort of sailing downwind in northwesterlies.
Yeah.
But I noticed this morning the Pac 52 Warrior 1, who I think won the 600 this year, didn't they?
Yep.
They've kind of punched through the fleet, and I sailed up through past a Wizard, which is like one of the mini maxis. That was the original, or the one that was Bellamente 68, and then got longer when it was Wizard for the Transpac and stuff. So Warrior 1 obviously going well to be nipping on their heels. Speaking
of which, of all the other Max, the 72s packed up shop after their little bit of yachting. They won Proteus. They had some rig issues, so they couldn't compete. They actually snapped the top of their rig off, I think, and ended up putting the inshore rig back in. So that blew their chances for Bermuda, but the others didn't. The Bellamente didn't line up. I'm guessing, is it just why? So, yeah, but anyway, so that's all good. Moving on, other big regatta happening right now, Sail GP. Sail GP. I know you've been all over this, Jordan.
Absolutely.
And day one,
Unreal.
who took it out?
Unreal.
Who took it out?
Sail GP. So it's day one done. Got to say, I think when it was Bermuda, wasn't it? They were just in. When they were in Bermuda, we were describing the Canadians as the Northern Australians, because obviously like-minded sort of people. I'm going to say let's call this regatta the Southern Canada Regatta for Sail GP, because it's
it's not far away.
It's as close to Canada as you could get, and the Canadians. Holy crap! How well did they sail?
Phil,
we can't just limit it to Phil. Obviously, it's the whole team, right? It's those boats are full team, but Phil, the starts, unreal, like just nailing the starts, and we know where that came from, obviously.
All your hot tips on the Japanadia boat.
The Japanadia boat.
I'm just reading the Japanada's winning formula.
So one of the things that jumped out, so I don't know if you guys watched it, but basically, obviously they're sailing in freshwater, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that's really clear is that the flight controllers have got sort of subconscious levels of response based on the fact that they're used to sailing in the buoyance of saltwater, and the flight control is a lot less stable. It's really obvious that some of the boys are having issues with flight control. So that's the one thing that I picked up. The other thing that I really noticed, a lot of people get onto Phil Robertson, right? Phil is New Zealand born, Chinese, Spanish, Canadian. And he, some people think, he's a little hothead, but he's actually, when you meet the guy, he's just such a great guy. He's such a nice bloke, and if you can listen in on the boat, you can hear the conversation between him and the strategist. It's just really nice, good, open, clean conversation, and you can hear that it's really good. That level of interaction is really good.
It's the same language at the end of the day. Sure. Kiwi and Canadian.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Hey. Would it be we tag?
So one, they understand each other a whole lot more.
Yes.
Which helps.
Yes.
Which helps.
Yeah.
Mentally aligned, we call it.
Yeah.
And two, the way that the race course was set, basically they're heading straight for Canada to start with, right? So
trying to get home.
Trying to get her over the line.
The other one to watch, of course, at the Poms, they're sailing super good. Like just if you're coaching a team, that's what you want to see from a team. No risk, super consistent. It's all about starts, though, isn't it? This Sail GP is just so much about the start, because if you miss your start or you get a penalty, it's very, very, very hard to dig out of the grave. Although the other thing, we've mentioned it before after the Sydney event, saw it today when I was watching the event. If you got to stay in front of the pressure on these boats, the difference in height and the difference in your angle downhill, if you're out of pressure, is just huge. So it's so critical. And there's little gusts rolling down, lots of little different gusts rolling down that course. So there are passing lanes, but starts are critical.
It was pretty impressive from a spectator point of view, what I saw at the end of Navy Pier. Chock-a-block in the grandstands. The Seppos love a good grandstand to start with, but they had it going on, I tell you. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Great setup. So,
have you had
awesome.
a look at these boats, SiFi? Have you go and look into any detail on these boats just to see if it correlates with what you guys are doing in any way? Or
no, I've had a little look around these boats. This was pretty interesting. My kids were jumping all over one of the boats. I think the event in Cowes a couple of years as well.
Just turn that lever.
The shore boys from the British Sail GP time took the kids up there for a bounce around in the trampoline. No, they look pretty interesting, and the systems are interesting. And obviously we get Carl Langford sailing with us a lot in 2020. So he obviously brings a lot of Sail GP experience. So it's interesting in terms of board development and all his stuff with the cup. And, how you trim these big things and how you trim these foiling boats is sort of,
Just going
kinda-
back one step,
kinda relevant.
right?
Yes.
2020,
Yes.
Cole Langford
Yes.
sailing with 11th out. Was there not several breakages throughout that year?
Straight
We
up.
have a theory. No, actually, mentioning Cole, Seagull Sales partnered up with Doyle's out of we're at Sweden.
Sweden.
So, yeah.
So Kyle and Dave Gilmore, Seagull
Yeah.
Sales. So obviously both been on Barkarati. Doyle Sales has been on Barkarati. Just saying.
It's happened again.
Yeah, just saying. Things happen.
Happened again. But I tell you what isn't happening for anyone. Etchels. Oh, where do I start?
Oh,
So-
I'm really interested to hear. Go on, take it on.
All right.
Sci-fi. No, let's get Sci-fi to give it. Do you know what's going on, bud? Where are you up to on the Etchels saga?
Yeah,
The
what's your
Etchels?
current status?
I think it must have been about when I was sharing an apartment in France with Bubs, with Wade
Yeah.
Morgan,
Yeah.
which was about a year ago now. He sort of caught me up, so I'm probably about 12 months out of date. But it sounded
No,
quite
nothing's changed.
controversial with
Well,
no.
nothing's changed
hulls and rigs on hulls and
until 2 days ago.
stations and
Until 2 days ago,
Man.
when
man.
the IGC, which is basically the
Governing
measure,
Council.
National
It's
Governing
it's
Council.
National Governing Council.
have basically come out and said there is a protocol to be followed to change your etchel. Now, I must admit, I had to check the date of the email.
Yeah.
'Cause it more than likely could have been the 1st of bloody April,
Yeah.
issued by Barkarati. It is so good. But essentially,
This
picture
is-
this,
this
you've
is-
got a mold 11 boat.
Yep.
You get a circular saw
Yep.
and you cut from shear to shear,
Yep.
say 2 meters from the stern, I don't know, 4 meters from the bow, something.
It's 6. You go from the stern 2.2 or something, and then from that stern at 6 meters forward. Yep.
Yeah, correct. Then with the super duper splashes, you essentially lift the bow, 19 millimeters, and lift the stern 9.5 millimeters. Then you just glass her up again.
Yeah, just crack a bit of clay glue in there and dodge your uncle, right?
Yeah. So, and I may be reading this wrong. So after you've done this, and grind outside of hull and laminate with lighter laminate that won't produce a bump.
It's a beauty, isn't it?
Fill exterior laminate and fair, and then gel coat. Step 15, tidy up interior laminate. Step 16, reinstall mask step, then flow coat. Oh, I was reading this, and I still cannot believe it. One, it's that in itself's got to be a 20 grand exercise to start with.
Plus.
So what's happened though is now this to me is the more ridiculous thing is they're allowed to sail in etchel events up until the end of 2024, except for the world titles. And it's still not guaranteed that these boats will then be allowed. So there'll be an assessment period after the boats sailed against do not perform significantly better than other boats.
Otherwise, you have to cut it again and put it back.
The decision will be made whether they're going to be allowed to sail again.
What moron is operating in that world? Like, my God. I just want to visualize. So I think a lot of people are running around going, oh, yeah, if you're against the Mold 11 boats, you're all visualizing top, big money campaigns, doing all this sort of crap. What if you're just some poor punter who just wanted to sail etchels? And
Let's face it, probably 90%
Yep.
of the Mold 11 owners.
Yeah. Right. So all the value.
My owner is the same. It's what he is. He bought an etchel.
That's
An etchel. That's all he did.
Now, suddenly your etchel's worth nothing because they've just said, even though it measures, it's not an etchel anymore, right? So your whole investment is worth nothing. Oh, but hang on. Spend another $20,000, cut your etchel in thirds,
Bend it a bit.
glue it back together, right? Guarantee that you'll never, ever, ever, ever sell your boat ever again, because the minute she drops off a swell off Sydney Heads,
Steps in 3 spots.
she's going to the bottom. It's like what the hell is going on? What is going on?
It is quite
Sci-fi's mystified.
mind-boggling.
Sci-fi's mystified.
I generally use Makita tools. I
What's
generally
that, mate?
use Makita tools. And your good old-fashioned Ozito's not going to go through this one, mate. I tell you.
No,
But
no.
I've got to do a bit more work on this. But to tell you the truth, it's not going to take me long to get through the instructions. It's only 4 pages long. So, and
I love it. Like a Dot pointed out, like you have to, cut here, cut along
17 steps.
Yeah,
Should be pretty simple.
So what do you, Sci-Fi, just sort of listening to that. So Bicey's 100% right. He's read it, the document, and it's online. If you guys go to the actual website, it's there.
Got it.
I'll check it out.
How would you, like, can you imagine anyone, like if you owned one of these, an Etchell, would you get your bloody circular saw and cut your boat from shear to shear,
Go out into your back,
bend it,
printed document,
and then just slap on a bit of glass, and think, oh yeah, this is good. This is a great solution.
I don't know what reality. That sounds like a good idea.
the thing
Well,
that
probably if anyone's going to do it, they're going to send it to a boat builder, and then the whole process is going to start again, isn't it?
Oh,
Are these
the thing they
molded
haven't
leather
added
boats really that much
molded.
faster?
No.
Well, hang on.
yeah. Well, they're a whole bunch of fucking cheats, if you ask me, Sci-Fi. But apart from that, this is the most ridiculous document I've ever seen. No, I mean, I've given the class a bit of shit over this, and all in good fun. And they've just done it back to me.
You reckon they're baiting you, mate?
Well, without doing my trigonometry though, like to lift the stern 9.5 mil, like you're opening up a gap of probably about 4 mil, like at the centre line probably.
Correct.
And then you grind that back and glass her up again.
That was the difference. They said 3 mil. But
Wow.
the one thing they've forgotten to mention there, what happens to the deck?
No, it just bends. It turns into a 1997 IMS boat.
Or an old version 5 America's Cup boat.
Oh, craziness.
Yeah.
Absolute
So
craziness.
with the Etchell, what's the materials? It's just
Just standard GRP.
it's
Glass, yeah.
E-glass, and so it's monolithic too, isn't it? So
not
it's
E-glass, just
it's just chop strand.
areas off. Pretty well chop stand.
Yeah.
Well, no, part of it.
Now, just for
the
Tom Schnackenberg's name is associated with this. Again, I still think it's a little ridiculous, and I'm not entirely sure who and how this got to where it is. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of an explanation though. But crazy.
You've had fun with that, haven't you?
So
I've read it 4 times.
would Sci-Fi,
Still scratching your head.
Sci-Fi, would you buy an Etchell?
Not right now.
No.
They're cool boats. I've loved
Lovely.
sailing them in the past.
Yeah.
But this sounds like an absolute good fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
there's,
everyone loves an Etchell, but not anymore.
yeah. Has it
Well,
I mean, I guess Australia's probably the
where the issue
the
is.
strongest fleet is in the world.
Oh,
And
not
it seems
anymore.
like where all the issues are. Has it massively impacted the fleet? Are people running
It's
away from
destroyed
sailing Etchells now?
It's destroyed it, Sci-Fi. Absolutely destroyed it. Last year the year before we had 35 on the water every Saturday competing, and that then turned into this year 10. We tried to, obviously the M11 owners, we had a little thing going on. It's called the Gold Racing League, still going.
So all the other like after racing at the end of the day, all the other actual owners are just having sausages and bread. But the gold fleet, they've got filet mignons, drinking red wine.
Absolutely. Barbecues on the foreshore.
I don't want to join your class soon, Brad.
Absolutely, mate.
You can see it. You can see it right now. If any Mold 11 guy goes up for his snag in a bit of bread, and the sausage has got two little cuts across it.
raised 19 milliliter in to create a 3 mil difference in the boat.
Oh man, it's mad. It's I mean, we still get documents from a lot of people on a regular basis, an awful lot of people, and I just can't understand how this has happened. Like I don't understand how boats measure
and then not measure,
and then are not allowed to race. I don't understand the logic of that, because all classes have tolerances. Every class, like you want to buy a fin, there's everyone. The latest fin is the Fantastica. I think you've got to go and buy that one, because it's been designed within tolerances. It's the same with the Star class, same with the 5.0s. It's same with everything. There's people just play within the tolerances. This one was supposed to be, they're all etchels. They want to be all exactly the same. I 100% get that. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That is a great idea. They're trying to, the more identical you make the boats, the better. But let's be honest. I've said it before. The only honest etchel boat out there is one that's not white, because they're all playing the games. There's a whole bunch of all the rules, the reasons that the Mold 11's got chucked out. You could chuck all the other boats out. There's lots of misbehaviour going on, I think, in that class, or it seems evident. Allegedly, I'll say.
Basically, the whole sport, we're all a bunch of cheating bastards anyway, SiFi. So we might as well just
go cruising.
Everyone go cruising.
Let's go cruising.
With Oscar and Mr. Snuffleupagus. Love it. I've got no more, gents, on that, apart from there's obviously one Etchel sailor who's moved on already, and that's Ian Murray, who is taking up residence with the Andu Comanche, well, whatever you want to call the boat now. The Andu team out of Sydney, which is obviously the Comanche, preparing for Sydney. And the interesting thing here is, of course, Ian's been a member of Wild Oats for many, many years, and this will be his first time off the boat for quite some time, I believe.
Yep.
So I mean, good, bad, indifferent doesn't really matter. But the fact is, there's another super maxi in town that has been to town, which has come back, basically, with a new owner.
Obviously, with Ian Murray, obviously a strong friendship and closeness with the Wild Oats family, the Oatleys. The Oatleys are amazing supporters of Australian sailing, and Ian Murray's heavily involved with Australian sailing in a performance perspective. But at heart, he's a skiff boy. He's an 18-foot skiff lad. That's his history. And the Andu crew, it's all 18-foot skiff boys. And Herman, the guy that's put the whole program together, they're the heart and soul. His family are the heart and soul of the 18-foot skiff fleet in Australia, and so it's a no-brainer, that you can expect that to go on. One thing I will say, the old Comanche, I was watching given away on YouTube. I watch if suddenly money came raining out of the sky and landed on my lap, I would buy a Outremer 55. Are you boys familiar with those? Right?
Yep.
So I like watching them sail. They look like a lovely boat to go offshore. They look like the bride would be very happy to be stuck at sea on a boat like that. And so I don't watch many of those YouTube channels where people just...
Mate, I'm just wondering, how do you go from Victoria's Secret videos on YouTube to Comanche videos? Your algorithms must be worse than mine.
I'm not an old pervert. But basically I watch one, I think it's called Great Circle or something, which is just a couple, a Dutch couple sailing this Outremer 55. They're doing the lap. Basically that course we designed for the our Ocean
World Yacht Rally
event. They're basically doing that exact course. and they're off Fiji. So the latest episode that just came out, they're off Fiji, and they're just going into Anchorage. And Comanche's obviously being delivered from the US to Australia, and it's come flying through. It was hilarious. Like it's come flying through and done a full racing job right in front of them, and then continued on. And it just
what Australia.
And like they zoom in, and I'm sure you can see all the boys, and there's like 6 or 7 boys on board. And they've obviously just either they were showing off for the camera, or they have to do it so they don't make a mistake. But yeah, Comanche comes flying in, does a full racing job. She's got double head sails up. Like Anyway, so very interesting to watch. But obviously she wasn't sailed back on cruising sails, is what I'll say.
Yep. Question is now: is she going back to Norths? Or on the Doyle still?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this space. There you go. Cool. Rightio.
Wouldn't Kyle be on board? Is Kyle? I wonder if Kyle's still on board. He didn't know, did he? Yeah, it'll all be interesting. What about you?
The new crew is going to be a little mix of the winning guys and a few familiar faces to the Comanche program. So
yes, that's what I've heard.
That's basically it.
Patana and Yeti are making their way down south. It'll be fun.
It'll be interesting because exactly I think what you're alluding to, SiFi, is that there'll be some experienced boys on board and then some loose units. No, keep going, should be fine.
Cool.
Very good.
What about? I just want to ask as we sign off. Just the last thing for you, my friend. Diverse performance systems. How's that going? You still part of that system setup?
Yeah. Still very much part of that. Obviously, not been in the office very much in the last 12 or so, 24 months. But no, it's all going well. Good mix of projects going on at the moment, and obviously we did all the electronics and the systems for the 11th hour 60. So that was cool. It's nice to work on a project like that. I guess it's the first 60 we've done for a while, so that was quite cool. But we've done some nice stuff there, and a real mix of stuff we've done over the winter. We've done a few sort of hydraulic system upgrades to the Allegra catamaran. We just finished a big hydraulic upgrade on that, so they can go racing, push the boat a bit harder. We've got what else have we been up to? Just about to start a big refit, real spread of stuff. Big hydraulic sort of power upgrade to a big 100-foot Spirit yacht. So it's like a modern classic thing.
Oh yeah,
that's quite cool. It's actually quite cool. I mean, we got quite involved in all this sort of electric propulsion kind of technology, electric motors. Like on the 60, we've done this. We've done a generator using an electric motor because it's way more efficient than an alternator. We've got something for, we obviously did the electric engine for the RAN 14. We've just done another one for their new 520 as well as all the rest of the systems on that. So we're getting quite sort of familiar with these sort of nice electric motors. And I come back to the whole Spirit project that we're doing at the moment. That's getting some pretty cool electric motors to power the systems, which you'd see like in a Mercedes electric race car or something like that. So they're amazing bits of kit. So it's all been quite fun, sort of getting our heads around this sort of greener electric technology, but it's also quite cool because it's all like pretty high performance and pretty nice as well. So no, it's been a good mix of projects. Like I said, we just finished the new RAN 520 as well, which is electronics and propulsion and systems and a sort of efficient diesel range extender that takes on some like electric motor technology. So it's a good spread. And then the load cell stuff is rumbling on. It's been good. There's been all of those good Imoca 60s you talk about are all carrying diverse load cells. Being the best way to monitor how hard you're pushing the rig. So it's pretty cool. It's nice to be involved in all of that as well. So good mix of stuff.
And of course for diagnostics only, just to ensure that your instruments are working. And calibration, you need to keep an eye on all those loads. Every time you get within Bluetooth range, yep, got them. 16.2 ton on that. Not bad. Hey, back it out.
Oh, dear. Good work.
Cool.
I will say,
Nice.
just for information purposes, if you need an apprentice when you're going on the Spirit at any time, I'm certainly available. I think Bice would probably stick his hand up for that one as well. I'm not sure if BP's into the classics at all, but
I just want to see like the world's oldest apprentice going to work.
no, I'm not going down there. I can't get under there. Hey, cool. All right,
Good action.
SiFi, mate.
Awesome, mate.
Thanks, bud.
Love having you on.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Good on you,
Good to
Sci-Fi.
talk to you guys.
we'll chat to you during the
Good to
ocean
see you.
race. I'm guessing, bud. I reckon at some stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
Look forward to
Good
it.
on you. See you
Cool.
soon, man.
We don't get to stop in Australia, so I don't know. I don't know whether we'll see you on the way around, but
Oh, we're taking the Barkarati Express out for
Yeah,
Cool.
might
For view.
straight out of Adelaide. I'll bring the Barkarati
Nice.
Express out. Chuck you a 6-pack.
sounds good.
it's as reliable as a Defender, I'm told.
Which is extreme.
All right, okay, ton of fun. See you, lads. See you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Good stuff.
See you all.
Cheers, guys.
Down the mountains roll a ladder me. In front of the crest comes under me. And I look behind, don't look behind.
This is BP, if you don't know.